Hey there, comedy fans. Welcome to My First Joke, the podcast where we dive into the hilarious stories of how comedians got their start. I'm your host, Karim Kanji. Thank you for joining us. Today, I am joined by comedian Michael Salvatore. Today's episode is brought to you by welcometotravel.ca. Listen, if you're looking to travel, have an awesome experience, maybe you want to go to an F1 race, maybe you want to take an African safari, check out welcometotravel.ca today. Tell them Kareem sent you. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to My First Joke wherever you listen to podcasts. If you enjoy what you hear, share it with your friends, leave a review, and hit us up with those 5 stars. I've got a son in university, and I could appreciate more listeners. All right, let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Michael Salvatore.
Sure.
Michael, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing?
Sure. It's been busy, but that's always good.
Fantastic. Listen, first off, I need to congratulate you. Your storytelling series. I really enjoy it, and it seems to be going really, really well. Congrats on that.
Yeah, thanks. We lucked into kind of a unique thing. We didn't know at the time. We're coming up on our 1 year anniversary now.
Okay.
And we've done a bunch of little satellite shows too. Like we did the one with Scarborough's Got Jokes, which went so well. We
Yeah.
did one recently with Pooja Joshi at
Yes.
Comedy Bar. We teamed up and did a different take on that went really well. So yeah, people really seem to enjoy it. So that's been a ton of fun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I keep an eye out on it. So whenever you post, here's the new theme, I'm like, do I have anything? Do I have anything?
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed it. And you put on you produce a great show.
Yes.
Yeah. So congrats on that. Um, let me ask you sort of this first question right off the top. What inspired you to get into comedy?
Comedy was, let me think. It was around the time just as like lockdown was ending with the pandemic,
Okay.
which I think is a pretty common story. But I don't know, I guess I was listening to podcasts at the time and they were always talking about like improv. Like even podcasts have nothing to do with improv. The ones where the hosts are really great at they mesh well with each other. They talked
Yeah.
about taking improv classes, and on Reddit at the time there were so many people saying like, "Hey, if you want to meet new people, go take an improv class." And we just happen to be in a city where there's millions of options for that. It seems like,
Yeah.
and so I looked at Second City and I saw that they offered stand-up classes, and I was like, well, that's always something I've been way more interested in than improv. So I
Okay.
started by taking the Second City 2 classes, and just had a ton of fun with those.
Oh, that's fantastic. Do you remember your first joke?
Yeah, yes, I'm pretty sure. uh, it was uh, it was actually I think at Second City. So they I don't know if they still do. They must still do like an open mic night for the stand-up class. But at the time, the jams and the mics at Second City, Toronto, you had to be a student at Second City, like currently enrolled to
Okay.
participate. And
Yeah.
I think that's changed because so few people showed up. Even people that signed up would tend not to show up.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and so at the time they were doing this, I think they were trying out this like variety show, they called it, where it was
Yeah.
like just once a month they did this thing where like if you want to do stand up, you could go do some stand up. If you wanted to do improv, you could go do some improv, and I guess storytelling. Um, and that was I think the first thing I did even before a class show. I did this variety show, and that was where
Okay.
I told, yeah, I couldn't even begin to think of what my first joke like in class was.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I was like on stage doing something.
Yeah. And how was that? A lot of people, they have different they remember their first time on stage. Either they got excited, they wanted to do it again, or they, on the other spectrum, they did really, really bad, or they felt they did really, really bad, but they wanted to get back on so to redeem themselves. What was it for? Like, maybe it wasn't either of those, but what sort of kept you going back to wanting to perform?
Yeah, I think I did really well, right? Like I did really well that time. I think Second City sets you up for success in that way. It's kind of unfair, to be honest. It doesn't
Okay.
prepare you for what the real mic scene is like as in the
Yeah,
city.
yeah,
Because the class is safe. You get the kind of bomb in class and get feedback and work on your stuff. And then when you do a show, like when you do a student show at Second City or a comedy bar or any of these places,
yeah,
the crowd is there for you. Like these aren't people that typically go out and see stand-up
yeah.
comedy all the time. They come to see you, and so they are incredibly supportive and some of the best crowds you can ever get. But of course,
That's so
then when you
true.
go out and you start doing mics and other booked shows where no one knows you, then you're ready for a whole different experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, you're known, I guess, locally as a storyteller. You produce a storytelling show. Um, it, you seem to be, if I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to be drawn to that sort of way of telling jokes, or storytelling in and of itself. How did you find that lane for yourself?
Yeah, that was kind of a unique experience. I so even when I did uh, pure stand-up comedy, I was always working stories into it, right? Like that's the stuff I love. That's the stuff I remember, and it's
Okay.
something that you see every like not every, but I would say most famous comedians. You'll see them do stories in their set.
Yes.
Anyone that has an hour special, a lot of that special is stories. Um, but at the amateur level, that's something that you just don't get to do. Yeah, if you go to an open mic, no one wants to listen to a story. It doesn't even matter. You could have higher laughs per minute than anyone else. Still, no one wants to listen to a story at those things. And so I had spent like the first couple of years just punching up those stories and working through the
Ah,
structure in a way that was okay, if I get the laugh in the first 15 seconds and then I have like a couple shorter bits, if it's like an 8 minute set, I could do 3 minutes of jokes and bits and then do a 5 minute story. And then, if it's a book show, people will listen. Um, and it
yes.
really offered
Okay.
something different, something memorable. Um, and it was around that time, like, a couple years after I started stand up, I I took a storytelling class at a comedy bar,
Okay.
and it was with Ken Hall, who's incredible.
He's
And it was
amazing.
a lot of like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was so good. It's a lot of like not traditional storytelling, but like personal. Yeah, it was all kinds of storytelling, but not specifically focused on comedy. Um, and then through that, I discovered there is this whole storytelling scene here that I guess was much bigger before the pandemic, but now it's a little smaller and there's like, 10 storytelling shows running. Um, and I just thought like this is the this is the thing I want to work on. I want to work on comedy through storytelling. Um,
Yeah.
so even though I do call myself a storyteller, I kind of treat it the exact same as stand up. Really, the only difference is if I'm doing a storytelling show, I don't have to. I can set up the story more, and I can give a bit more of a wrap up at the end. Whereas when I'm doing a stand up show, it's pretty much a similar set. I just have a quick joke to get into it quicker, and then I just end with the biggest laugh instead of like wrapping things up.
Yeah. And I guess the expectation of the crowd is also going to be different, right? If they're coming, they go, I know this is a storytelling show
Yeah.
that I probably might laugh at, but I'm going to hear some really interesting stories. That's one, that's sort of their expectation going in.
Yeah, it's incredible. I've always invited new comedians who have never done storytelling. I invite them to do the show,
Yeah.
and it's sometimes it's nerve wracking because I basically tell them you don't get to do your set. You have to come up with a story and do your one story. But I also tell them like you can't bomb at storytelling. It unless you run off the stage, you literally cannot fail at it because the audience is there just to hear a story and they will stick with you the whole way through, even if you don't get a
Yes.
single laugh. But also, they're not the kind of crowd who goes and sees stand-up comedy all the time. So when you do make them laugh, like it's that much better. Like
Yeah.
they love it.
That is so true. How did you get into producing your own thing? It's one thing to say, okay, let me find out where some of these storytelling opportunities are, and I'll go and I'll get my reps in. What made you decide to produce and start your own series?
Yeah, it's a good question. I just kind of fell together. Like
Okay.
it's weird. It just kind of came together. Like I for around, probably about 9 months before I started the storytelling show, I wanted to start just a stand-up show. Um,
Okay.
but I knew just by seeing others, by seeing other peers and friends in the field who are trying to do that as well. Like there's in Toronto, there's got to be 40 stand-up shows a night on average. You know what
There's
I
a
mean?
lot. There's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton, and I couldn't think of any way to stand out. And I'm not, like, I consider myself a good producer, but I would not consider myself a great promoter, right? Which I think is something that we sorely need in
Okay.
this city. Um, so I didn't want to compete with all of those other shows. And it just so happened that, you know, taking this idea of let's take the idea of a stand-up comedy show and a storytelling show and put them together into something new was something that just resonated with everyone who's seen it. So I just kind of lucked into it, and it's just been going from there.
That's fantastic. Um, I'm curious, you've been doing this, 4 or 5 years. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Overall, yeah.
Yeah. Have you found your style of storytelling change?
So, yeah, actually, I would say just this year, probably because I've been getting so much more involved with the storytelling community and supporting their shows that aren't comedy based.
Yeah.
Um, and like Justin Shaw is someone who's been a big inspiration for me because he seemed to be following the same path, but he's been doing comedy for like over 10 years now, and he moved
Okay.
into storytelling and focuses on both of those. And he's another comedian who can tell these stories with just really high laughs per minute. But what he also can do that I've tried to start moving into is he can have a really emotional arc to his story. He can tell a story that's really you'll be laughing the whole way through. But he'll leave you with like, a gut punch or a message or just something that's
Mm,
really, really interesting. And like some of my favorite comedians can do that too, right? Like Mike Birbiglia,
yeah.
Tig Notaro, these people that they are stand-up comedians, but they they have no problem like stepping back for a bit and just letting people just being a bit more open and vulnerable and sharing stuff that you don't typically hear about in comedy shows.
Oh, that's really interesting that you say that. Um, what's the um I was gonna ask, like, what's the secret? Yeah, what's the secret to a good story? Or a I don't want to say good story. Let me rephrase that. What's the secret to a good um storytelling bit, right? Because all stories are a story is a story. I guess what makes it good is that the presentation of it is what I really want to
Yeah,
get at. What makes one good or not?
a lot of the things we learn through stand up are just immensely helpful for
Yeah.
storytelling, regardless of if you're doing stand up storytelling or you're doing, storytelling. Um, the things like being concise. Being concise is a big difference between comedians and some storytellers. This, especially at the amateur level, where we learn early on with stand up, like don't waste any time, right? Uh, you want your jokes to be as quick and as punchy as possible. You kind of want your stories to be that
Oh,
way too. You you
okay.
you. If you're stretching out your story, there should be a reason for it, and there's lots of great reasons to do that. But to just take like a 5 minute story and fill time just makes it drag and the audience will feel that, right? um
Mm,
the techniques that we learn in stand up too, how to tell a joke, how the timing, and how to work surprise into your story and mislead the audience in a way that gives them a genuine reaction, like that's
yeah.
all stuff that's really impactful for storytelling. um
Okay.
so it's
Yeah.
it's it's yeah, I mean, I think there's I know for me personally, the weird thing from storytelling. So I when I was just focusing purely on stand up, and I know most people don't do this, but this is the way I approached it. I needed to know almost everything I was going to say before I went up on that stage, right? I'm not one of the comedians who like to work things out on the spot, right?
Mm,
I would practice beforehand, I would share with friends and
yeah.
workshop stuff before I brought it to any mics. and I wasn't comfortable. The first couple of years, I was not comfortable going to any show or even mic without being prepared for it.
Like
Um,
word for
and
word prepared?
uh, Close enough. Yeah, let's say close
Wow.
enough.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it showed, right? I think it did show. Like there were people that did give me that feedback of like you seem too rehearsed.
Mm.
And it was storytelling that taught me that made me more comfortable not to do that. Now I'm way more comfortable just going to shows and just coming with ideas and riffing.
Okay.
But Because with storytelling, you really don't want to have your story rehearsed word for word. And it's you. The trick is with storytelling, if you're not worried about the jokes, then you don't have to really have it rehearsed because it's your story. Like you lived it, you can share it
Yes.
just as if you were telling a friend. You only really need to remember where those jokes go and how you set those in and drop those in. Um, so it did like it gave me much more of a comfortable stage presence after doing storytelling when I do my stand up now.
Okay. Ah, this is really interesting. Um, let me get to this. This has been a fascinating discussion, by the way, Michael. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Um, yeah, I remember doing your first. Well, the first time I did one of your shows, and I'm hoping I have the opportunity to do more. Um, it sort of it helped me to let go of the stress of where the jokes fit in and
Hmm.
just tell it in my voice as if I'm telling somebody and I want to keep them interested in
Yeah.
the story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that it really
And,
helped me understand that sort of skill.
yeah. And I do like you did really well that night. That was
Thank you.
it's always great when um and I'd only seen you a couple times before then. But I know a mutual like some mutual friends of ours.
Yeah.
Uh, I won't call out anyone on the podcast, but afterwards I remember they said like I had never seen him like that. Like
Oh,
not that it was better or worse, but it was just different. It was very he was they were very much like, oh, that was really cool and interesting to see Kareem do
I
something
appreciate that.
totally different.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Um, yeah, and it's yeah, because I figured one of the reasons like people say, "What are you going to write about? What are you going to talk about?" I go, "Shit, man,
Yeah.
I've lived a long life already. Not a long, long life, but I've lived enough of a life that funny shit has happened." Or
Yeah.
at the time, you don't think it's funny, but when you look back at it, you go, "Holy crap! What an experience!" Right?
Yeah. And we do cater the themes for comedians. Like a lot of other storytelling shows will have very specific themes.
Yeah,
Um, I know I can't get a comedian. The most comedians I can't get to write a new 8 minutes just for my show. So the themes
yeah,
are so vague that it's like you already have a bit.
yeah,
You've done this. Just come and stretch it out, you know?
yeah. Make it into a story. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, Michael, are there any local storytellers, comedians that use stories as part of their repertoire that we should be paying attention to and maybe go out and see sometime?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said earlier, Justin Shaw, I think he's probably
Okay.
uh, w- one of, if not the best person that mashes together storytelling and comedy. And if you
Yeah.
go see his stand-up show and go see his storytelling show, you'll see a lot of overlap. Um, but yeah, he's an incredible stand-up, and his storytelling is incredible too. And sometimes it'll be the same. It'll feel like it's the same bits, like he's
Hmm.
telling you the same story, but he's just telling it in different ways for that audience. Let me think who else. I've been so many people. Uh, it's wild. It's again like a lot of people. We had Usama do one of our shows.
Okay.
Um, Tavara, I think his last name. Um, and he's someone that I've always like uh, admired as at our level in stand-up comedy. And he was like he wanted to come to the show specifically because he wanted to tell a story that was more dramatic. Um,
Okay.
and he came and he told like a pretty dramatic story about um, growing up in a country where it was getting bombed at the time, and he was a kid and not understanding what was going on.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. He
but
was
as a
good.
comedian, yeah, he managed to take that heavy material and just wring a bunch of laughs out of it too. Um, I don't know a lot of people that are stand ups primarily who are really pursuing storytelling,
Yeah.
because it is a very different path, right?
Yeah.
It is very there is like storytellers are there for the love of the of storytelling.
Mhm.
Comedians are there for the love of comedy as well, but there's also with comedy there's a bit of a this feeling of like, I'm going to be huge one day. I'm going to be making millions. I'm going to be selling out Air Canada Center or going down to the States. Which is a great dream to have, but I think storytellers, and I've been doing a lot of improv recently, and improvisers are the same way. They know that there's no money in it for them, right? So they're just there
Maybe
to
some
have fun, and it's a very different
CBC
vibe.
money might come through for us, something, right?
Exactly.
Michael, where can people find you online and eventually see something and come out to one of your shows? Where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, we've got we got a website which we can link to everything from there. It's now listen to this.ca. Is for our show Listen to This, which is our monthly storytelling show. And we've got June and July dates planned, and we're going to be announcing themes and dates for August and September. And yeah, we'll just keep running that show monthly. And other than that, I'm on Instagram as Michael Salvatore TO. And we also have an account that I can't remember the name of at the moment for Listen to This, where we post all of the storytelling shows we're doing too.
Awesome. I'll make sure to link it in the show notes, Michael. Really appreciate
Great.
your time. Thank you so much for this. And everyone, thanks everyone for tuning in to this episode of My First Joke with Michael Salvatore. I hope you had as much fun listening as I had chatting. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to My First Joke wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Share it with your friends and take a moment to rate, review 5-star. The podcast and the website is myfirstjoke.ca. My name is Karim Kanji. Until next time, remember.
Check out your local storytelling shows. I think you'd be surprised at how similar they are to stand up in some regards.
Michael, thank you so much.
You too, Tim. Talk to you later.